Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea. I have my Seattle Space Needle cup this morning, the Public Market, the Space Needle, and a big coffee cup ready to go. So sit back and relax and let's chat about what's going on in the stars and the sky above us. I don't know about you guys this morning, but I am dragging. I don't feel tired necessarily. I just feel uninspired. I feel unmotivated, and I know why. And it didn't occur to me to tell you guys this yesterday because we got so into the things that we were talking about yesterday with the whole Bronze Age conversation. And I've totally, lost the fact that the moon would be void of course for nearly this entire day. And it went into the void at about 1:55 a.m. my time, so 4:55 for you all on the East Coast. And it sits in that void until 4:53 p.m. my time, 7:53 p.m. for you guys on the East Coast. So all of the day today, we are dragging, or we are in that void of course moon. The moon, of course, in Cancer. So there's this emotional component going on. But also, when the moon is in the void, of course, we don't really get to start things. We sort of, everything sort of comes to a sort of halt. And what we find that is opened up for us are the more meditative, quiet pursuits, things, seeing to the details perhaps of something that's already been in progress, meditating, doing yoga, maybe going for a walk, spending time outdoors. Resting, relaxing, reading a good book, watching TV, of course, and all of that's happening in the middle of the work week. So you may have some time today where you just feel like you can't get things moving, you can't get traction. And of course, we know better than to fight against what the flow is of the energy of the day. And so do what you can today to work with this energy, which just says, okay, I'll do whatever it is that seems to open up for me and allows me the space to move forward. And I wouldn't expect to go very far, very fast. Although the last contact that the moon makes, or made, because it's already made this contact, is an opposition to Pluto, which it did just a little after midnight my time, just before the void, of course. So we're left with this moon opposing Pluto energy all the way up until this afternoon or evening, depending on where you are on the planet. And the moon opposing Pluto sometimes pulls out some of the deeper emotional energies that we're holding on to. It may emphasize our OCD, our ADD or ADHD, whatever it is that is deeply hidden in our psychology, we may latch onto and hold on to then for the entire day. Yay, because that's what we want to do. We want to process our crap all day long, right? Sorry, I left my phone on sound. So today you may be feeling like you're left with some old emotional hurt, some grievances or grudges. I would say this is a time for you to work through it and dump it, right? Allow yourself the space. Maybe it's a good time to do some journaling. Get out your hey, get your phone, because that way sometimes you don't have to write, right? You can just talk into it and say, I see this old pattern that keeps coming up, and this is what my response is when it happens. And I think that is undermining my progress in this lifetime. So what am I going to do about it? So those are kinds of the things that we can go through today, that while the moon is in the void, that allow us to make progress. Even if we're not making progress on the outer realms at the moment, we can make some space inwardly to create change. So let's see. I'm going to say a quick good morning to everybody out here. Good morning, Colleen and Allison and Chanel and Jan Landry. It's great to see you again. And Colleen, good morning. She says, I'm hustling like crazy, but it feels hard. I keep getting obstacles. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I mean, Colleen. So here I am this morning trying to get all of this stuff ready. I'm looking around. I don't know. It just seems like every little thing was in my way, right? I decided I needed to water my plants, and then I decided I needed to feed the hummingbirds, and then I go, oh my God, I better get dressed. So just stupid little things keeping me busy this morning. Ashley, good morning to you. Mimi, good morning. She says good morning to everyone. Brenda, good morning. And it is great to see everybody out there. And so this would be a great day, by the way, to ask questions because I really don't have a lot to talk about. It is a fairly quiet day in terms of the astrology for today, personally. So if you have questions or you have things, observations, please make them. I want to thank Patricia Woods for sending me a good news story. I just posted that this morning. She tried to post it on the page, but apparently the page, Facebook and their various rules, they don't necessarily allow other people to post on my page, even though I've said you could. I don't know why. So if you have a story you want to share of a good news sort, please send it to me or post it, try to post it, and then it will ask me if it's okay, and then I can post it. So I posted up a story about two boys, I think it was two boys, who petitioned the mayor of their town to put up a turtle crossing sign. You've seen like deer crossing or cattle crossing. Well, apparently turtles cross the road from one side to the other in their community, and they were getting hit and killed. So these little boys asked for the mayor or the city council to put up a sign, and they agreed. And so there is now a turtle crossing sign that helps to protect these little creatures as they move from one pond to another or one habitat to another. And what's interesting about that is once upon a time, I lived in San Antonio, Texas, and we were driving down the street one day, and I was a California girl. We didn't really see turtles crossing the road. We saw cats or we saw dogs, birds, that kind of thing, but no turtles. So here we are driving along this road, and I'm looking down at the road ahead, and I'm like, what is that? And this car ahead of us swerves, but hits this thing that goes spinning around. And I realized it was a turtle. And so we pulled over and went out and saved the little guy. He just had a little nick in his shell. And we took him home and found a habitat, created a habitat for him. We called him Spencer. And he was just a pond turtle, I guess. I don't know. He was just adorable and definitely worthy of saving. So I have my own little turtle story, my own little good story of my good news story of saving a turtle. But then I also go around caterpillars when they're crossing the road, or I'll make sure my car tires straddle it so that it has an opportunity to migrate across the road. My husband laughs at me, but I do it every year. Right around this time, they'll start migrating and I will save them if I can. Other cars, they're not quite so, good about that. So good news stories, please share them with me or join up to the goodnewsnetwork.org. I think I shared that yesterday with all of you. Check out the stories that they have. I got a good news story this morning in my inbox, which was nice because the morning didn't start exactly, smoothly. And I was able to tap into some really good energy. And maybe I'll share that story here in a little bit. So besides the moon in Cancer today, in a void, of course, what else is going on? Well, we have a little bit of a scritchy, minor conflict kind of energy going on today between Mars and Pluto. Mars and Pluto are actually co-rulers of the sign Scorpio, so they do tend to work together well. But when they're in this kind of a configuration with one another or an aspect to one another, they get a little bit irritable and they get a little bit conflict-oriented, and that's because this is a sesquiquadrate. A sesquiquadrate is a square plus half a square, so 135-degree angle, right? So you got 90 degrees, the square, which is always challenging, and then add to that another 45 degrees between them. You get total of 135 degrees, and that creates some conflict. There's minor conflict here, though. This isn't like an all-out war between the two. What it may turn out to be is a minor disagreement on how to make progress in your life, how to move forward with something. Remember, Mars is the principle of action, and it wants to move forward in an aggressive or an assertive manner. And Pluto is a planet of empowerment, and it's about transformation. So Pluto may be the one actually putting the brakes on Mars in order to move through something that is going to make it empowered. This is an inner battle, perhaps. This isn't you getting into an argument with someone else. This is you battling yourself on what direction to go in. So if you have this feeling of being at a fork in the road where you have two options or you're not clear exactly on what to do. This is going to be a day of that continued maybe inner dialogue going on about which way to go. But it leads to something really wonderful, and that is, remember, this week is the week of Uranus. All of the planets, the inner planets, are in some way trining on each successive day of the week or every other day of the week. It is an inner planet trining or 120-degree angle between them, moving with flow between the inner planet and the planet Uranus. And Uranus represents awakening, earth shaking, wake-up calls, surprises, ahas, epiphanies, many different things are possible when a planet comes into contact with the planet Uranus. So we have this Mars sesquiquadrate Pluto, but we're setting it up for a Mars trine Uranus tomorrow. And here's where inspiration strikes. So today you may have that indecision or that inner battle going on. What direction do I go? Pluto's empowering you to move that way, but Mars is going, no, I want to go this way. And then voila, tomorrow, or even maybe later this evening, some kind of creative genius is brought forth out of you that creates a breakthrough. That's the high side of this energy. And it's almost like, if you're traveling on the freeway and you come to a slowdown because maybe there's been an accident or something, and the accident gets cleared and suddenly the path is open and you can continue on your journey unimpeded. Well, that's kind of this energy that's building up. But you have to remember one small little detail, and that is that we are in the waning cycle of the moon, right? We are in the lead up to the new moon. So we're in that balsamic phase or the dark of the moon. We're not quite completely to the dark yet, but we're getting into the darkerness of the moon. So even though you may have a creative genius or breakthrough sometime between today, tomorrow, and even into tomorrow's Wednesday, Thursday, the new moon doesn't occur until Friday morning. So there may be this little bit of a lag between, there should be a lag between the creative genius or breakthrough and the expression of that out in the world. Maybe taking some time to just let that seep into your brain a little bit, try it on for size, see how it fits. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but in the background, I am working with a woman named Amy Patty Colvin. You've seen her here on my show when we've talked about the trips that she plans, what do you call those things? Retreats that she plans all around the world. Well, she's been working on one for Scotland. She's going on one pretty soon here to Ireland, and she's gone to Machu Picchu, all these different places. Well, she's also the bomb when it comes to helping get websites up. And I've had a GoDaddy website since nigh on 2004, 2005, and in its many different iterations. But at this point, I feel like I've outgrown what GoDaddy can do for me. And so I started sending out feelers about what to do. And she came along, she came into my awareness as someone who knows WordPress. So she and I have been working in the background, she mostly at this point, to create a new website for me on WordPress. So yesterday we were winding down this process, and I'm really learning now how to use WordPress and instead of the GoDaddy platform. And she's like, well, you're almost ready to launch. And I went, yeah, I have until September 9th with my other website. So what do I want to do? And I said, I know. Let's launch on Friday, because Friday is the new moon. If you are moving in the cycles of time, then the new moon opens up this great opportunity. And guess what else? My personal moon is at 8 degrees of Virgo. This is why knowing your and the new moon on Friday, Virgo, at 7 degrees of Virgo. So like new moon happening here for me. So this is why if you know your own astrology chart, you can be your own best friend in setting up the timing for the things that you want to do in your life. And that's why I come on here every day just about to let you know what it is that is going on in the skies, so that you can equate that to your own charts so that you can do for yourself what I can do for myself, which is to elicit timing on when to launch something or when not to do something, or how to work with the energies of the day. So isn't that kind of fun? Linda, good morning to you. She says, I'm up in time to be here with you today. Mimi waves hello to Alan. Alan. I didn't see an Alan. But okay, hi, Alan. Kara, Dawn, and Goodwin. Hello, Kristen Page. Good morning, Camille Love. Good morning, Susan Glavin. Good morning, Asa. Great to see everybody out there. If I missed anybody's comment, I apologize. I don't think I did. But if I did, let me know. And if there's questions out there, let me know. Natasha, good morning to you. Let me know if you guys have questions about that. Now, there's something else really kind of interesting happening, and I didn't see it in the Pleiadian-Earth energy calendar as a banner, sort of pay attention to this day. But I know, because of my work with the Mayan calendar, that the 260-day round of the calendar comes to an end, and it creates an opening for the next level of evolution through the 260 days of the calendar. And guess what? Today is the last day of that calendar round. We have come to 13 enlightening, and enlightening is Ahau in the Mayan calendar, which was the last of the 20 days of the earth signs in this case, and 13 being the last day of the universal energies, which means that we are ripe for tomorrow's one creating energy. So today, what does that mean? 13 enlightenment. Well, I think what I find kind of good about this whole thing is that today's void of course moon brings us more internal, brings us more to maybe meditative state, or listening to what's going on more internally focused as opposed to the external world. And at the same time, the 13 universal energies, the energy of completion, ascension even, or preparing for that next level in your ascension or the next level in your evolution. And that also requires some work with internally to integrate all of the things that we have learned over the previous 13-day week, but also in this case over the previous 260 days. Now, what I should have done was looked and seen where we would have been, when was the last one being, so that we could tell when the last, we'd have to go 260 days backwards, likely, and I don't have that book up here, but likely that would have put us at the end of 2018. One enlightening, yeah. So even in January, I think it probably would have been in the last couple of weeks of December where we started this round of the calendar. So here we are, we're completing a cycle, but we're also completing a minor cycle. And it's sort of like nesting these cycles. So of course, having time to do our inner work is very helpful. Now, the earth energy of enlightening is about committing to ideals. So the reason I like this idea of doing good news stories is because it's an ideal, I think, that we can share as human beings, right? We get enough of the blood and the guts and the bombs and the disasters in the world. It's not like we are immune to getting those stories, because we get them no matter what. But what we might seem to miss out on are what our brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles, cousins, brothers, friends, and associates are all doing out there in a way that's positively affecting the planet. And if this is one of our ideals about showing the good side of humanity, or how evolution is really moving us in a positive direction, then we have to actually commit to having that as an ideal. And in that commitment to a new ideal, enlightenment is possible. Social progress is possible. And it does in some way impact our ability to stay out of that polarizing sort of judgment where we're, being tugged in two different directions, or where we see the other as somewhat not desirable. And so then we create that bigger separation marker between us. So here we have this possibility of creating a life in alignment with our values, right? And what are our values? Well, we have different kinds of values. I happen to love stories that resonate with how we care for the earth, how we care for animals, and how we care for one another and plant life. Those are the things that I really love. Our children. And so those will be the stories that I end up bringing out. Others of you may have other ideals that you're committed to. And I encourage you to find the good news stories about those things and bring those forth. Because what happens then is our energy becomes focused on creating the good and on the good that's out there already. And we end up blowing that up instead of blowing up the negative. And I mean, there's plenty of negative energy to be had, right? And the more I look at 2020, the more I'm just cringing inside. And that causes me to go, okay, wait a minute. But what you focus on is what you're creating. So creating more of what we want as opposed to what we don't want. And I hope all of you will join me in that and kind of get in a role. You can share it on the Facebook page. You can share it on the Live by Human Design page, which is actually a group. And just do that. I encourage you to share with one another or what you find out there. I started sharing with some of you because I was using Messenger, and I know Messenger sometimes is suspect, but the Sierra Club has a really beautiful daily snapshot of the earth or of an environment, a habitat. And I don't think I've gotten it yet this morning, but every day I get a Sierra Club picture with a saying or an uplifting sort of message. And I did that purposely because there's so much negative news about the environment and about climate change and fires in the Amazon and so forth, that I wanted to capture moments of beauty that this planet has for us, right? So if you are one of those people that I managed to text that to, it came from me. It didn't come from some third-party entity, but the Sierra Club, very interested in the environment and preserving our natural world. So I love that. I do that. So whatever it is that you're excited about, find it, share it, make it bigger, right? Make it bigger. Good morning, Susan. Yes, to the Good News Network. You know, I got to tell you guys this. Susan, even, I don't know, Susan, I don't think you were involved yet. No, because that was too long ago. But there was a point in time when I was going to create a business, and the business was going to be about good news. I think we even called it the Good News Network or something good news. I don't remember exactly what it was. We could never get it off the ground, and I think it was an issue with the timing of getting it started or the people involved and how people were pulling us in too many different directions, so it never got off the ground. But that's been in my mind for years, as that was one of the things I wanted to create, was this network of people or a website even of just sharing the good news and even taking, you know, it's okay even to take some of the more negative stories out there, but watch and see how the positive things that are applied to those stories begin to change the fundamental story, right? How does it improve? How does it move forward? And I think that's also worth looking at, as that the power that we have to heal the situations that we are experiencing on the planet. Good morning, Angela. And Asa, good morning, or perfect timing. Great, 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 great. So let's see. What else did I want to talk about this morning? I think that's it. Astrologically, today's just not that busy of a day. That void, of course, moon, kind of putting a cap on what's happening. We don't even shift the week for human design until the 29th. Of course, the week builds, the energy builds toward the new moon. There is something I've observed about this new moon coming up on Friday that I find interesting. Not sure what to think about it yet, or how to place it in its proper perspective. But you know how I always show, periodically I show this grid here, and this is actually the chart of the new moon. And look at the airline. It's blank. There is no air energy, no planets or points in the air element for this new moon that's upcoming. It's all fire, mostly earth, fire, and some water. But even the water is, limited. So it's fire and earth. And like I said, I haven't quite put that into perspective yet. But thinking about the number of pieces that I put on the chessboard compared to other astrologers and still coming up with no air, I thought was pretty fascinating, actually. So we'll be talking about that as we get closer to the new moon. What does that mean? Now, that doesn't change the fundamental setup in your own personal charts. My sense of that new moon that's coming is it's more action oriented. It's more boots on the ground, get it moving, rather than new ideas or inspiration coming in with the new moon. That doesn't mean that it's not possible, but it's just not favored. But what's favored instead is taking the practical steps forward or applying the things that you've already learned to what's already in place, which can still be something new. A new way of being, a new way of doing something, just not new ideas and inspiration coming in. So interesting. In fact, this morning's chart even has nothing in air except the rising sign, which is more specific to where the chart is based and not necessarily for everybody going out into the world. So I think we're already in a sort of quiet space when it comes to air energy. And maybe that's possible for us because we need to be able to take steps forward, right? To do something. Oh, it's my cat. I heard all this weird noise. So lack of air maybe means, and lack of air, that just made me think about the Amazon burning and the effect on the oxygen created on the planet. Lack of air, maybe that has to do with the fires. I don't know. But anyway, let's keep our focus on the positive and on the things that we need to do to move forward, and less on ideas and thinking and, just keeping it all up here in our heads. All right. Let's see. Anybody have questions? Neil, good morning from GoDaddy. Hey, Neil, good to see you. Colleen, fire and earth explains the Amazon burning our lungs. So tragic, makes me feel helpless. Indeed, it does make me feel helpless. I got that. I was feeling like that yesterday. I felt like it is likely the governing body of the state or the country of Brazil that have contributed to this. And for a very long time, there's been an attack within the government of Brazil on the indigenous folks, and wanting to claim this space of the Amazon for use with the population, and raping and pillaging, if you will, of the resources hidden in that Amazon jungle. And I suppose one way to really further that is to burn it all down, right? Then you have access to the land, then you have access to the natural resources in the ground. And I would bet that there's probably some natural resource in the ground there that they want access to. So not a happy thought at all. But the man just turned down $22 million worth of aid from the G7 countries that would help fight that fire. Now, ask yourself, why would he do that? Why would anybody turn down the money that it would take to put out fires unless you had an ulterior motive for having fires? It's kind of sad. And also then takes us into that funk again about, this world going crazy. And, so we have to really start our focus back on the good things going on, right? The good news in the network. So plant a tree, right? It was timely that Suzanne Fulmer brought me to that search engine, Ecosia, where their focus is planting trees, right? Focuses on, doing something good that impacts the planet in a positive way. It's just a shame that some people are so short-sighted that they don't see that what they're doing is so destructive to the planet and to their own selves, to their own families, to their own survival. I just don't get it, but focusing on the positive. All right, everybody, that is it for me this morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning and we'll talk more about what is happening in the stars. Let's see, tomorrow being the 28th, it'll be the last day of the Human Design Week. We'll be preparing for the move into the gate 40 and 37 for the Earth. And that was another, remember we talked about it on Friday, another establishing of freedom out there in the world, out there in our lives, liberating ourselves from the old and moving forward into the new. So I like that one too. In the meantime, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Take care, and I will see you in the morning. Bye.